Good morning, children. I hope you have seen the previous video of the President of India, children, where I have discussed the different powers of the President of India, which make him more, dominating, and plus which make him more, the much powerful as comparison to PM. I mean, PM is the real head of the nation, but the official head or the constitutional head is the President of India. So these powers, gives him the respect and dignity, and without these powers, the bill cannot become an act. So these are presidential powers. So this video is in presentation, is in continuation with the previous video, and here I'm going to discuss about more power related to President of India. Like in the previous video, just listen to it carefully, children, to the previous videos as well, where I have discussed about the legislative powers, children, how the president makes law, how it passed the bill, it amends the bill, it passed the ordinances, children. Next, I have discussed about the military power. He is the head of all the three forces. And the third one, which I have discussed, children, like if you go for legislative power, children, one power. I mean, in the previous video, we simply discussed about legislative powers and this one military powers, children. So here, this video is in continuation of the early previous powers as well. So let's start now. Now, children, more power of the President of India is now financial power of the President, children. Now, how financially the President, hold these powers, children. So let's see. A money bill cannot be introduced without the recommendation of the President, children. Always remember, a money bill always introduced in Lok Sabha, children. One thing you need to be cleared about that. Now, with whose recommendation the money bill is originated in the Lok Sabha? It is with the recommendation of the President. Next, the President laid down the budget before both the houses of the Parliament. Now, this budget means annual budget, and who gives the permission of laying the budget in presence of the both houses of Parliament, children? It is solely lies with the President. Though budget discussion is solely lies with the House, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, children, right? And Lok Sabha has sole authority over the budget, over the money, children. But who laid down these annual budget in the both houses of Parliament? It is the President. He is the President, children. Next, the contingency fund placed at the disposal of the President. It means meeting unforeseen expenses, children. Now, contingency fund, children, this is a fund created by the Parliament, children, and this fund, meet the unforeseen expenses. Suppose might be possible some unforeseen, something which was not speculated, which was not assessed earlier, arised suddenly. So obviously you need to meet with those things. Unexpectedly it arised, and you need money for that, right? So at that time, how Parliament dispose the money for such type of things, then at that time the contingency fund helps the Parliament out, and Parliament can give the money out of these funds for emergency, children. And who gives the permission to dispose these funds? Obviously he is the President of India. Next, children, if you see, the President appoint the Finance Commission after every 5 years. It distribute the income control issues between the union and the state. Now the Finance Commission, children, the committee which is related to finance, which prepares and make budget. Now who appoints the commissioner of the finance committee, children? Obviously the President of India. The finance committee, their work is solely different, but who appoints this commission? Who appoints the body to control the finances of India, children? Obviously the President of India. Let's move on to another slide. Now another power, children, the judicial power. So financial power we have completed. Now come on to judicial power, children. He has the power to grant pardon, reduce the punishment. Everyone knows, children, he can reduce the punishment, right? He can reduce the judgment passed by the Supreme Court of India. Now in following cases, children, it's not like that he can reduce any cases. The punishment, he can reduce the punishment of any case. No, that case has to be genuine, right? That case has to be conditional, children, right? Let's see now. In the following cases, he can grant pardon, like a court-martial, children. Then punishment is for offenses against union laws. Union laws offenses means someone has violated the union laws. At that time he can grant that person the pardon, children. In all cases of sentences of death, suppose some convict has simply sentenced to death, he can simply change the sentence of death to life imprisonment, children. Next, a pardon may be absolute and conditional. Now, pardon, the excuse should be absolute and conditional, children. Is exercised on the advice of Council of Minister. Now, whatever he is simply ensured, he ensured whatever the powers is being enjoying, like judicially he is enjoying the power, children. He has to, take the advice of the Council of Ministers headed by PM, children. And I already told you, children, PM, President work in coordination with each other with the Council of Ministers, children. So I hope so people have cleared with the judicial power as well, children. Now, more judicial power. The president is not answerable to any court for the exercise of his power and duties. Now, whatever power, whatever duties he is doing in the house, no one can point out on his dignity, right? On his work, right, children? It is totally against the law. Next, no criminal proceeding shall be instituted against the president in any court during the term of his office, right? You cannot point out, right? You cannot, start with proceedings, any proceedings that is related to criminal, right? That is related to criminal law, children, against the president of India during his term of office. It's only started only after his term of office is completed, children, right? So I hope so people have understood about his judicial power. Now, next power, the important power, emergency power. Now, he can implement the emergency in the states, children. And emergency are of three types, children. Now, emergency caused by, now very first emergency, caused by external aggression or armed rebellion. External, some country, aggressively attacked India, or some rebellion, some revolt happened in India. Right, children? So at that time, the emergency can be imposed by the President of India, and it is called national or general emergency. And such type of emergency, right, that is caused due to external aggression or armed rebellion is known as the national or general emergency, children. Next, emergency on account of the failure of constitutional machinery in a state, right? Constitutional machinery, children, if suppose a state is not being managed well by the governors and CMs, children, right? And some emergency rises in state that, and now at that time the state couldn't able to control by by the governors, by the heads, right? So at that time they can ask the help from the President of India, and at that time president, after coordination with the government, after assessing the whole conditions, he can declare emergency in the state, right? And it is known as the president rule also, children. Another name of these sort of emergency is the president rule. At the time president interfere in the administrative work of the state. He take control of everything. I mean the state parliament, right? The bills and everything is being under control by the president. During this sort of emergency, it is also known as failure of constitutional machinery. Constitutional machinery of the state, that means failure, that means constitution is not being followed well in the state. Right, children? Next, emergency on account of the threat to financial stability of India. Now, financial stability is under threat. That means financially India is getting weaker day by day. This is just example, children. At the time which emergency can be imposed by the President of India, obviously this is called as financial emergency. The three type of emergency can be imposed by President in India, children. The very first emergency, national or general emergency. The second emergency is failure of constitutional machinery or president rule, and the third type of emergency is financial emergency, children. Now next is discretionary power, children. Another power is known as discretionary power. Now you don't need to understand the term, children, here. The discretion means the right solely lies with the president. Here in this power, even PM, even the prime minister or his council cannot interfere in the work of the president. These powers make the president king, children. And here now, after reading out this power, you will be able to understand these powers really make the president of India the real king of the nation, children. Though the real power lies with the PM with his council of ministry, children, don't forget. But these power, basically these discretionary power, make the presidential power more powerful, children. Let's see now how. The president may withhold assent to a bill or may send it back for reconsideration. Bill, children, two types of bills are there. I've already explained you in the videos of parliament, children. Two types of bill are here, and here which bill he cannot reject. He cannot reject the money bill, children. So here I'm talking about an ordinary bill. Basically he can withhold, or he simply refuse the assent, the permission, or though he really wanted to give to ordinary bill, children. In case of ordinary bill, he can simply reject for signatures. Why? Because you always need to understand, children, for bill to become a law, president signatures is must, children. So if ordinary bill suppose goes to the president for signing, president can say no. This is his discretionary power, children. But if the money bill goes to the president, he has to sign then and there, children. Right? Next, children. The Constitution does not prescribe any time limit within which the president is to declare his assent or refusal. Children, it is WW, it's which, children. right? Don't get confused, right? So here the constitution does not prescribe any time limit within which the president is to declare his assent. Now time limit, suppose yes, he said no to the ordinary bill, now he cannot simply state the time under what time duration he can sign the ordinary bill. Constitution has given the power to the president. It is up to him and up to his discretion whether he signed the bill or not, right children? Next, in general election, when no party or a leader seems to enjoy the majority in the Lok Sabha, then president can declare the PM. Children, the time arises like the elections, the voting in the elections takes place, children, and now the leaders, the head of the leaders are there in Lok Sabha now. They're formed in Lok Sabha, children. But the problem is that no party is able to prove his majority, prove its majority, basically, children. So at that time, who can interfere? Who can interfere in all these conditions? In this condition, when no party has a clear majority, right? At that time, the president can declare the next PM, children. Next, more discretionary power, children. If PM has lost the confidence of the Lok Sabha, instead of submitting the resignation, the president should explore the possibility of forming an alternative government at the center. Now it is up to the president also when the condition may arise. Suppose no confidence motion is passed against the PM, children. No confidence when opposition party pass the no confidence motion with 2/3 majority against the PM, children. At that time, the house is dissolved now. So at that time, it lies with the president. Now president has to form an alternative, another option, right? That government, because government has to be there in the house, children, to run the country. At that time, it is up to the president which alternative government can be formed at the center, children. This is discretionary power. Next, the president could explore the possibility of forming an alternative government, following which he can dissolve the Lok Sabha. And suppose if the government couldn't able to be formed in Lok Sabha, just because of the lack of majority, and president is trying his level best to select the PM, or he can have a talk with the different leaders, children. At the time it doesn't work out, so at that time the president can give the permission to dissolve the Lok Sabha and the fresh elections can take place, children. Then, though several leaders stake their claim but lack of chance of giving a stable government, like obviously this is a condition, children, but at that time the president can dissolve the Lok Sabha. Okay, so this way, children, we reach to the end of the video, children. I hope so you are being cleared now with all the power of the President of India, children. The previous video I have already explained you about the executive power, the legislative power, the military power, children. In this video I have explained you about the discretionary power, children, right? The judicial power, financial power. So all these 5 to 6 powers, children, really make the President of India as the powerful head of the nation, children. Though he is the official head or the constitutional head, I again repeat my words, children, the real power still lies with the PM, with his council. Why? Because our country is the parliamentary form of government. Our country is practicing the parliamentary form of government. Our constitution has said that PM has to be the head of the nation. This is written in the constitution. So India is, under the parliamentary form of government, where PM is the head with his council of ministers, and he has to work in recommendation with the president, children. So I hope so people have understood. Just listen to the videos carefully and clear your doubts, children. Till then, thank you.